Be there or be square. Go to theordinarybusiness.com to sign up for the Ordinary Business Summit happening October 14th and 15th. This is the Ordinary Business Podcast for business owners who want honest conversations, a lean business, and an extraordinary life on their own terms. Nadine, what is the funniest subject line that you've ever sent or received?
I have two for you because I couldn't choose between the two. They're both subject lines I used in my emails that both performed really well when it comes to open rates because, intrigue, fun always works. So first one is 2 a.m. wake-up calls and outlawed beetroot. And the second one is a coffee voucher and a QR code. Walk into a bar. I know, right?
I like those.
You can't help but click and go, what's going on here?
You're like, why is this in my inbox?
Yeah, random, weird.
Yes. Okay, so we are talking about emails today and kind of your approach. But before we dive in, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Absolutely. So, hi, I'm Nadine. I am a copywriter turned customer experience and customer retention strategist. Nowadays, I love to look at the broader customer journey for my customers. So, all the things that happen before, during, and after the purchase to make sure you really build a long-term sustainable business.
Okay, so you told me, like when we were talking about the podcast, you're like, I kind of have this approach where I do gentle nudges, which I thought was very interesting because I feel like all the email advice I see out there is like sell, sell, sell and all these things. So can you kind of explain what a gentle nudge is?
Obviously. Let's go. So gentle nudges I would classify as personalized and highly relevant invitations to either make your first purchase or your next purchase. And those gentle nudges usually include social proof, case studies, genuine limited time bonuses or discounts, and really just help people make a decision either way, whether it's a yes or no. I feel like in the online business space, we're so often guilted into buying, and so often we're just basically dragged along, and it's that never-ending loop of being sold to. So how I like to approach it is very personalized, very sort of time sensitive to help people go, yep, now's the right time, or no, not right now, maybe next time.
So to clarify, when you say personalized, is this like you're segmenting people on a list and you're like, oh, I've seen them click on certain things, or is this like, hey, I'm going to email Jess because I'm like from my Gmail inbox?
No, it's all totally automated. In my back end, I'm a mum of three, so I have literally no time, capacity, or interest to do things very manually. So yeah, using clever segmentation, but also paying attention to I like to call it the signals they're sending me. So how they're engaging with my content, what type of links they're clicking on. And luckily I'm with Drip as my email provider, and they are amazing at giving you access to those details like analytics, that behavior, even customer lifetime value, purchase behavior, all that comes into the back end and then allows me to create those bespoke pathways for individual subscribers.
Interesting. So it kind of sounds like you can almost categorize like the links. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I use trigger links, as Drip likes to call it, like Kit and Active Campaign. They all have similar things, called slightly different. But basically those links with hidden superpowers on the back end where the subscriber doesn't know what's going on. They just click the link, but on the back end, all this magic happens where you can tag them, you can add them to segments, you can also update custom fields. So I'm huge on using custom fields to really keep track of, for example, how many times someone has clicked on a particular link. So rather than just acting on, that curiosity click where maybe your competitor went, ooh, I wonder what Jess is up to. Let's click and have a look at the sales page. So custom fields allow you to work out whether someone is actually interested. So you could act on someone, for example, clicking your sales page during a life launch or in that evergreen funnel 4 times, for example. And then you add them to this segment called whatever I like to call it, hot leads, hot
Mhm.
launch leads. And that then allows you again to create even a more bespoke pathway to personally reach out to those people. And yeah, it just means you are not wasting your time on people who, are sitting on the fence, not really into it, but you can actually lean into those people that are very likely to convert if you go that extra mile.
Mhm. Okay, this has got my nerdy brain spinning because I'm like, ooh, being able to not just the one click, but if they've clicked a certain link multiple times.
Yes.
I really like that. So, okay, we're
Mm.
gonna take some
Uh,
notes.
yeah, I used that during my recent launch, my founding member launch for my membership, and personally reached out to people who qualified, based on number of clicks, and the conversion rate was insane. So I sent them a personal video message 48 hours before, expiry of that launch offer, and like 75% of people actually converted after I reached out. And those people who didn't convert at the time responded explaining why now is not the time, but that they'll be back next time. So it's just so powerful and means, as I said, you can really focus on the people that are
Yeah.
so hot. They just need that gentle nudge to make a decision.
Okay, so you mentioned mom of three, don't have time for manual things like many of us. Can you walk us through maybe one of the first automations that you kind of set up in this? Because I'm
Mm.
assuming you didn't just one day sit down and be like, here are 26 different trigger links and automations and all these kinds
Yeah.
of things set up. But maybe like, what was one of those first
Mm.
ones?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. It started with a curiosity, and back then when I started playing with trigger links, I was with Flowdesk, which obviously Flowdesk has come a long way since then. But back then, I was using trigger links in my life launches to allow people to opt out if they already knew they weren't interested. So that's how it all started. Very manual, not really bulletproof either because you could only track certain emails and yeah, very basic. But then I decided to move over to a drip 2 years ago and then started playing around again. Data nerd. I just love automations and had a look at the amazing capacities. And I'm like, you know what? This is actually so cool because you can totally incorporate trigger links into every email and then track things on the back end and automate those things. So I started with one automated funnel, learned from that, tweaked as I went along, and really found that while, evergreen funnels are great, even once you have them set up, there's always opportunity to improve, to add fresh social proof. So I don't want to create this false illusion here that you set it up once and, I've set it up and I don't have to revisit them. Far from it, but the beauty is that they do work on the back end. And so it was a gradual process. And most recently, I've started playing around with even reward systems, so little triggered reward emails to provide slightly different gentle nudges outside of evergreen funnels. And yeah, I'm just getting started. I'm just obsessed with automation and still making it feel bespoke and specific because it relates to actions they've taken or interest they've shown.
I am curious with all the clicks and all the data that you are collecting, is there any other behavior that you really love to track? Like, do you do any of that similar tracking like on your website? Do you like track replies? Or is it like just if they click, on this one particular link or whatever it is?
Yeah, I track so clicks particularly and replies as well. So which then is manually. So people who reply to me and have conversations, I like to add a little extra tag in there to take note of those people that actually are super invested. But yeah, it's basically clicks. Opens, you get those bots as well, but just over time tracking it. And as I said, Drip's amazing by allowing you to set saved segments as well. I don't think Kit has anything similar, but it's basically this self-updating segment. So I have all these criteria set up on the back end based on, how many times someone clicks, for example, on an email, how many times someone visits my website, how many pages they're looking at. So all that is tracked via Drip, and then triggers some of those, little reward emails and incentive emails, because clearly they're interested, they haven't bought yet. So yeah, there's just so much opportunity with data and actually paying
Mm-hmm.
attention to individual subscribers. And luckily, with all the tech tools we have at our disposal, it's actually not that hard.
Yes. Okay. One other thing I want to clarify for the listeners when we're talking about these gentle nudges, are you still using quote unquote strong calls to action, or is your language also gentle? Like, are you literally gentle in terms of like, hey, if you want to, you can join, but no rush. Like, or are you, I mean, you don't strike me as somebody who's going to be like, you have to get in now, but like, where's that line? Is it
Mm.
like, explain
Yeah,
that part.
yeah. There absolutely are very clear call to actions in those evergreen funnels. So once someone on the back end by my system has been identified as, yeah, I think they're interested in this offer, I add them to these evergreen funnels. And in those funnels, it is almost like a live launch. So there are very strategic emails in there, social proof, case studies. As I said, there's none of that guilt tripping into buying. So it is just addressing objections, really helping them picture, what their future could look like with my offer or me in their lives. So very close to a live launch, just that they have basically told me previously they're interested. And how I treat my behavior-driven funnels is, as I said, very similar to live launches, and they usually have at least one component that encourages them to make a decision now, because we all know we're creatures of habit. We like our safety blanket as humans. So stepping out of our comfort zone and actually making a decision is hard. That's why, as much as you can send gentle nudges, at some point you need to help them get off that fence and say, yep, I'll buy, or nah.
Mm-hmm.
So I use genuine urgency. So there's countdown timers, usually in those funnels, to then link to a limited time offer. So either a bonus that goes away or a discount that goes away. And I make it very clear as well, so that this offer is going to be around down the track. The only thing that's going to disappear is either, the lower price tag or the bonus. So I'm totally transparent here that, this is not the last time you can buy. So don't stress. And the good thing again is in those evergreen funnels, I basically follow the same rules. So once someone is in those funnels, I track their behavior in the funnel. And then if someone is super, super hot, I insert those non-scalable personal touches, as I said, like during my live launches where I send personal video messages. So they're sort of replicating live launches without actually having to do this huge live event all the time. So everything happens on the back end until I get told that this person is pretty much ready to buy, reach out.
Mm-hmm. So I like all the back end data, which makes me also wonder, how often are you kind of looking at your data? Is this like every week, every month, every quarter, every day?
Oh, God. No, it's about every month. So I try to keep track of, the funnels, how they're going, what needs tweaking. Also, as I said, I do love to update the funnels themselves with fresh insights. So sometimes if someone sends me a fresh testimonial or joins my course, completes the intake form, I have fresh bits where I go, oh my God, this is juicy. This needs to be in email 3 because it fits so nicely. I added to a running to-do list because, we have to run a business. So when I find time to update things, I just go through that list to make tweaks, make changes. Even if I send an email, to my list talking about my offer and that's performed really well, I'm like, how can I incorporate that into the funnel? So it's, I sort of come at emails I send and the way I sell my offers from a holistic perspective. So really paying attention to what works, what doesn't work, what needs to change, and staying on top of it that way.
Now, I'm sure with all these tweaks that you've made and the changes you've made to your funnel, like maybe there's some experiments that you've done. Have you tried anything and it totally flopped and you're like, okay, we're going to remove that email or like remove that call to action or whatever it was?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had funnels that didn't perform. So, like with one, I actually went back to the drawing board. I'm like, no one's buying. Like, let's just start from scratch, like re-engineer things and start over. With others, I've played with, the bonuses or the discounts to see what makes a difference there. But I like to look at it as learning. So even if a funnel doesn't perform how you expect it to perform for a few weeks, it gives you an opportunity to, again, take note of what your audience responds to and then incorporate that into other things as well. And I like to look at the customer experience from a Lego perspective. So, like I look at my evergreen funnels and those customer journeys like stacks of Lego bricks. And the good thing is with those, they're not set in concrete. So if one brick doesn't really work, you don't like the color or, you want to change the shape of the stack, you can easily remove a brick and add another one in. And then if that one doesn't work, you keep going until, you're totally happy. So I think that's a better perspective than going, this perfectly polished funnel. Your stack of Lego bricks, of customer experience bricks is going to shift as your business evolves, as you potentially introduce new offers as well. That might impact your stack. So it's a matter of learning from those, flops and, using that to your advantage for future things.
I'm curious, what made you decide to go in this more gentle nudge direction? Is that the approach you have always taken, or did you used to try kind of the
The life
standard
launching.
method?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, what made you switch?
Yeah, so I personally resonate more with that personalized approach. So rather than pushing my agenda onto subscribers, I know like my inbox is overflowing with things that I've never shown any interest in and never clicked on anything. And I keep getting, 30 emails like at times from like just several times a day. I'm like, clearly I'm not interested. I've never clicked. There's no opt-out option. So I just feel like if I give people permission to email me, like to like if I get invited into people's inboxes, I need to respect their time and space and also then allow them to opt in and opt out. Secondly, I am more on the introverted spectrum. So life launching, I find super draining, showing up all the time, on various platforms that I never intended to sign up to in the first place. So this approach basically allows me to send, emails that I love sending most of the time, really engage my list, keep them interested, and then organically mention my offers. And then, as I said, if someone shows an interest, that's when I can then automatically shift into that sales mode. And the good thing is it just happens without me knowing. So I don't feel like I'm constantly pushing a hard sell. It's my email platform doing it for me. So it feels much more aligned with my personality and my way to run my business.
I think that is the most important part, is approaching it from a way that feels good to you. Because I know so many business owners who really don't love email marketing and they're like, I don't like newsletters. I don't want to do this, whatever. And I often see email marketers talking about, well, like you need to find the approach that works for you.
Yeah.
But then you try and go find
I
other
know, that's a hard
approaches.
bit.
And it's always like, email them every day, email them once a
Mm,
week, like it's just
mm,
the same stuff over and
yeah.
over. So I really love this idea of really looking at the data super closely and getting really customized. Now, it does take more time and effort, probably especially upfront, to get all the trigger
Yeah.
links
Yeah.
and the automation set up. But then once it's set up, I feel like that could do a lot
Mm.
inside your business. Now, I'm curious, this is kind of a selfish question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you
Go.
mentioned you're on Drip and you used to use Flowdesk. Are
Yeah.
you familiar all with Kit? Do you feel like Kit can do some of these automations? And I mean, I know
Mm.
that obviously Kit does automations, but to this level that you're doing it,
Yeah,
Or
interesting question, because I have lots of customers who are on Kit, where I'm trying to implement some of those customer experience strategies, even, like member engagement that I run in my membership, for example. And Kit just makes it a lot harder
mm,
to pull off. So I've been back and forth with Kit support going, so Drip can do it this way. Like, how can you do it? Some things they can't do. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't worked out a way to do it yet, even with Zapier and connecting things. So Drip organically makes things very easy to, trigger
mhm,
automations, to add people to funnels, to keep track with custom fields. So I found it's just more intuitive. I don't know whether it's
yeah,
because it comes from like Drip's more geared towards B2C
mm,
businesses where you're tracking, a Shopify website, for example. So they're big on purchases. So for course creators, Drip is amazing because it just feeds everything into it. You don't have to use Zapier to capture and update lifetime value and all those things. So yeah, Kit definitely can do stuff. I find it a little more complex because you got to
yeah.
do extra steps and reinvent the wheel sometimes, where in Drip you just set up a saved segment and it just happens magically.
Yes, yes. I'm curious, as you're doing some of these setups for clients as
Mm.
well, is there anything, because I know you mentioned like social proof and case studies, is there anything specific that you're like, this always works? Or does it depend on the audience?
It depends on your audience, definitely. So again, experimenting with what resonates with them. I mean, social proof should always work. You just need to find the format. I think that works. So, whether it's screenshots, some other audiences like full-on case studies where you can follow, that arc, the before, during, and after. Private case study podcasts, for example, can work really well. So I've personally joined a mastermind because they invited me to listen to a podcast full of case studies from members, and it was just so awesome. So yeah, pay attention to the format your audience loves and how they like to receive those, success stories. But
Mm.
social proof probably I'd say is the one thing you can always rely on.
Yeah, good to know, because that's the easiest, I think in my mind, the easiest kind of place to start for everyone.
Mm,
Because, case studies, it can take time to round up that data
yeah.
and put it all together. So hopefully can just,
Mm,
round up some testimonials and start working
yeah.
on this.
Like,
Last question. I'm curious, for this gentle nudges approach, do you find that this works across most industries? Or is it like particular industries that you find it works really well?
I think it works across the board. You need to reflect on how you want to sell. And again, it's that
Mm,
finding your sweet spot. Some people just
yes.
love being super direct. Extroverts probably have no issue with selling all the time. But yeah, I feel like gentle selling respects your audience. It respects your energy as well. So that would always be my choice. And I can't picture anyone who wouldn't respond to personalized,
hmm
hyper-specific content that feels like it's created just for them.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming and sharing your approach. This was super fascinating, and now I really want to go see what I can automate or check out Drip or, all the things.
Yeah.
Where can we connect with you and learn more about your services and all that fun stuff?
Yeah. So if you like my out of the box take on marketing and selling, I invite you to check out my podcast. What Would They Do? The Customer Experience Podcast, which shares bite-sized tips on a weekly basis to up your customer experience. And if you want to connect with me, you can check out my website, candocontent.com. And I've got a whole bunch of stuff there for you to check out.
Awesome. I will put that in the show notes, but thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.